if you live in New York on Sunday, they put up a dragon on the top of the Empire State Building to promote House of the Dragons. Like my wife said at the time, like, look, there's something up there, and I said, no, ignore that, we're going somewhere, and I was stupid about it, but there was something up there. And it's kind of the first time I know they project stuff on the Empire State Building, they make it certain colors to commemorate stuff, but it reminded me of a balloon. They had an inflatable dragon up there. I don't know if it's still up there, but it's been up there for a while. But it reminded me of a time, and this is a fascination of mine. It reminded me of a time in April of 1983 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of King Kong. The owners of the Empire State Building literally put up a inflatable replica of King Kong up on the Empire State Building. If you can looking at the pictures, you can see it literally looks like King Kong on the Empire State Building. Now, so if you looked from a distance, it literally looked like, and I've heard this from people who lived there at the time, they're like, it was cool because you look at the Empire State Building and go, holy shit, there's King Kong. Like in the movie, King Kong. So he was up there, but apparently it was like not done in the greatest way. Like the inflatable balloon, they had to figure out a way to get him up through the elevators and blow him up, and that was a disaster. And it sort of wasn't the safest, so he wasn't even up there for very long because it kept spraying a leak and stuff. But apparently, I keep reading that they did have planes fly around the Empire State Building. So if you saw that, it literally looked like the end of King Kong. I don't know, like they actually had biplanes like in the end of King Kong, which I think is really cool. It didn't last very long. Almost everyone I know who I've met who lived in New York at the time always speaks about it fondly. It sounds amazing. I missed it by a few months because I wasn't born and didn't live in the city then. I guess my mom was pregnant with me then, so I had that going for me. I don't know. When I heard about the dragon thing, I could barely see it. They really had it strapped down, and if you look at the pictures of King Kong, it looks a little less safe. I still wish they put up a King Kong now and then, like for Kong vs. Godzilla and stuff like that. I think that would have been cooler. It's just such a cool little piece of pop culture and New York history, and the idea that King Kong, for only a few days, was actually on the Empire State Building. There is one photo that people remark on that I think is really cool, where you see King Kong's face and you see behind him the World Trade Center. Everyone brings up something about 9/11 and stuff like that. What really is going on, this was done in 83. The 70s remake of King Kong had come out not too long before, and in that he climbs the World Trade Center. So it was sort of a way to recognize both the original and the remake. That is actually what's going on in that photo, but I understand that the World Trade Center represents something else to everyone else. So that is sort of the history of the time that King Kong was actually on the Empire State Building, and that is way cooler than some dumb thing for House of the Dragons, and they should definitely bring King Kong back, because I think that sounds that would be really cool. I think it's really cool, and I wish I got to see it in my lifetime, but unfortunately it doesn't sound like we'll ever get to see King Kong be on the Empire State Building again. But it was nice that for a few days in April of 1983 he actually did. Hey, sorry, I actually have an update since I filmed the thing from the stream. I found 2 different videos that actually explains this Empire State Building thing more. I guess the other is like what I could read and what I can find in pictures, and what I've always heard about it. But embarrassingly, I found kind of a King Kong 50th anniversary week 1983 from Meredith Vintage, which is about like a 42-minute video that goes through the whole kind of saga in the New York press and stuff, which is really interesting. And there's a video explaining it further from this YouTube channel called Pointless Nostalgia, but Meredith Vintage is what it is, and I didn't see it. But hers kind of goes, I watched the whole thing. It's really interesting. I'll have them both, there'll be cards up here and there'll be a thing in the end screen for both of them. But hers is cool because it goes into, how the New York press was going on about this for like a week, which I didn't know. It kept like popping in and popping out, and when they couldn't get it up the elevator, they had to carry it upstairs, so there are rips and tears, how the high winds made it hard for them to take down, things like that. Hearing people on the street talk about it. We actually see footage of the biplanes, so they did fly biplanes around Empire State Building with the Kong balloon, although it wasn't that inflated. Most of it is kind of like news anchors making monkey jokes, which is which is as funny as you think it would be. But it is fun seeing the kind of hubbub about it. The one thing I will say, there was a report, I think 30 minutes in, I forget which channel it is, but that guy probably does the best report I heard of the whole thing. And he does this cool shot where he shows like the Empire State Building with King Kong and then kind of zooms out and shows someone just like at their desk working. And that's kind of what I imagined the whole thing would be. And that's what I've heard from people. Like they were like, well, I was brushing like people who were kids at the time, they were brushing their teeth and they could see King Kong like out their window on the Empire State Building and how cool that was, and they went about their day. And that's sort of what I expected from it, but there is a lot more to it, and it was like a news story for like 10 days and stuff, and they kept talking to people on the street, but it seemed like people were kind of happy. It's like to sort of hear about it and see it and stuff like that, and it's kind of nice. I don't know, I now fully understand this issue. I've just like heard, you know, sort of the oral history from people who lived through it and stuff like that, but hearing about it through Meredith Vintage's video in particular, I think that was really great. But both are actually good YouTube channels, so check them out since I've gotten way more into them and subscribed to both. But it was interesting kind of learning the full history of it and hearing like Fay Wray wouldn't attend, but another actress, Maureen Stapleton, kept reading a statement, which they did 2 press conferences. It honestly sounds like a whole mess for like only a few days of King Kong actually being on the Empire State Building, and then he pops, and in the end he ends up just being in Central Park because they wanted to show off for something. It sounds honestly like a really big failure, but I like the idea of King Kong being on the Empire State Building, and I got to fully understand this issue, and now you do. If you'd like to see more, check out Meredith Vintage's video, as well as Pointless Nostalgia's. They both did a great job. And, you know, it's cool. It's still cool to imagine what it would have been like to actually see King Kong on the Empire State Building.